Welcome back to another deep dive. We're continuing our exploration of the fascinating link between faith and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's a rich area, isn't it?
It is. We asked you to send us sources and you definitely delivered. Today we're looking at this article, Wrestling with Challenges, How Jacob's Story Inspires Personal and Entrepreneurial Growth. Kind of an intriguing title, don't you think?
Definitely.
At first glance, Jacob's story, wrestling an angel all night, getting a new name, a blessing, sounds like, I don't know, almost like a movie or something.
Right.
But this article, it claims that this story, it's not just some interesting anecdote. It's like a guide for how to deal with the tough stuff.
Absolutely.
And, well, every entrepreneur, they face challenges all the time, right?
Absolutely. That's like the core of it.
So how does this story, this ancient story, how's it supposed to help us today?
Well, let's start with that wrestling match. Jacob wrestling with the angel all night.
Okay, yeah, what about it?
That's not just about physical strength, right?
Yes.
It's really about having that grit, the determination, the resilience.
Building a business, any business, really, it's not easy. It takes a lot of that kind of almost stubbornness, that refusal to give up.
Yeah, exactly.
But how does Jacob's experience translate into, say, like navigating a market that just tanks or your product totally flops?
Okay, so think about it this way. When Jacob's wrestling, it's like he's wrestling with all that uncertainty, all the anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And that's basically the life of an entrepreneur, isn't it? I mean, you're always pushing boundaries, taking risks, going into the unknown.
It's true. When you start a business, you put yourself out there, you're vulnerable, you never know what's coming next.
Right. And so the story of Jacob, it suggests it's not about avoiding those difficult feelings, those fears and anxieties and doubts. It's about leaning right into them.
So it's like using your fear as fuel.
Exactly. Like instead of letting that fear hold you back, use that energy to move you forward.
I like that. Okay, but how do you actually do that? Those feelings can be so overwhelming.
Yeah. And it's not about pretending the fear isn't there. It's about recognizing it and then asking yourself, okay, is this fear real? Or is it just some story I've been telling myself, some limiting belief?
You know what? I think we all have those voices in our heads, those what-if questions that can really paralyze us.
Absolutely.
So this isn't just some abstract concept.
No, not at all. This is directly tied to the entrepreneurial journey. Like, think about a time you had to make a really tough decision in your business. Maybe changing your whole business model, taking a big investment, or maybe even letting go of a project that you loved but just wasn't working.
Oh, man. Every entrepreneur's been there. You're making me think about when I first started my business. I was so scared of failing, letting down the people who'd invested in me and honestly proving all the doubters, right? It was really tough for a while there.
So how did you get past that fear?
Honestly, it was a few things. I had this amazing mentor. She kind of pushed me to look at those fears, really confront them. And she helped me see that a lot of them were just these old beliefs I'd been carrying around for years. And then I guess just taking that leap, launching the business even though I was terrified, that was huge.
That's exactly what Jacob's story is about.
Yeah.
It's not about being fearless. It's about acknowledging the fear, wrestling with it, and then choosing to act anyway, not letting the fear control you.
Yeah. And that makes me think of another big part of the story, the name change. Jacob becomes Israel. It's not just a new name, though. It's like this total transformation. So what's that all about in the business world,
I think it's about being open to change, adapting, evolving. Think about it. How many successful businesses have stayed exactly the same from the beginning? Not many, right? You have to be able to adapt, let go of old ways of thinking and doing things. That's how you survive, and even more how you grow.
So you're saying entrepreneurs need to find their own new name sometimes, like maybe it's rebranding or completely changing how the business works or even just a total mindset shift.
Right. And Jacob's story is a good guide here. It reminds us that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come when we let go of who we thought we were and embrace that new version of ourselves.
Yeah. There's that saying, what got you here won't get you there. But letting go is tough, especially when you've put so much of yourself into something.
Absolutely. It's like pruning a plant.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to cut away what's not working so new growth can happen.
That's a great analogy. So we've got perseverance, we've got transformation. What else can we learn from Jacob's all-night wrestling match?
Well, there's the blessing he gets at the end.
Yeah.
It reminds us that those hard times, the ones that feel like you're wrestling all night, sometimes those lead to the biggest rewards.
Like the blessing in disguise idea.
Exactly. And this isn't just some feel-good idea. This is real-world stuff. Think about it in your business. A product launch fails miserably, but that forces you to be creative, And that leads to your biggest success yet. Or maybe a major investor backs out and you're scrambling, but then you find a new partnership that's even better than the first one.
It's true. Necessity is the mother of invention, right?
Right. Those setbacks, those wrestling matches, they often show us our hidden strengths and push us to tap into resources we didn't even know we had.
Okay, so far we've got perseverance, transformation, finding the blessings hidden in the challenges. What else does the story have for us?
Well, there's the fact that Jacob walks away with a limp. He doesn't come out of this completely unharmed. It's a permanent reminder of what he went through.
That's interesting. So it's not about pretending the hard times didn't happen or trying to erase the scars. It's about accepting them, learning from them, and making them part of your story.
Exactly. And I think that's so important for entrepreneurs. We often celebrate the wins, but the setbacks, the failures, those are valuable too. Maybe even more so.
Because they teach you resilience.
Yeah, they teach you to adapt, to change direction, to get back up when you get knocked down. And those are the things that make entrepreneurs successful. They're the ones who don't give up when things get tough.
It's funny, we talk about failing fast in the startup world, but
Yeah.
maybe it's not about speed. Maybe it's about what you learn. It's about how you take those failures and make them part of your journey.
I think you're right. And that brings us back to Jacob's limp. It's a reminder of the struggle, but it also shows his resilience. He didn't just survive, he grew stronger.
Yeah, it's like those scars, they show that you've been in the fight, You faced the challenges and you came out stronger on the other side.
Exactly. And it's so empowering, I think, because it means that those setbacks, those failures, they don't have to define you.
They can make you better, right?
Exactly. They can be the things that push you to grow, to learn, to adapt. And you end up more resilient and honestly more successful.
Okay, but let's bring it back to our listeners for a second. What does all this mean for them? How can someone listening take these lessons from Jacob and apply them to their own lives?
That's the big question, isn't it? And what's amazing about Jacob's story is that it, it's timeless.
It's true. It feels so relevant, even though it's such an old story.
Yeah. It's about the human experience. It's so powerful that these lessons, they work across different cultures, different times, even different industries.
It's like this blueprint for how to deal with challenges, how to grow as a person. It doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur or an artist or a student or just someone who wants to live a better life.
That's it.
Really.
So as you're thinking about Jacob and his journey, I want you to think about something you're dealing with right now, some challenge you're facing. It could be something in your business or your personal life, or maybe it's just a fear you have that's holding you back.
Yeah, we all have those.
We do. So how could you use these lessons to approach that challenge differently? Maybe even see it as a chance to grow.
Maybe it's about having that same perseverance that Jacob had to get through a tough project. Or maybe it's about being willing to change, to shift how you see things.
Or even change how you're approaching the problem.
Yeah.
And maybe it's about facing those fears head on, those doubts you have. Remember, Jacob didn't run away from the struggle. He wrestled with it until he got his blessing.
And don't forget, those blessings can be hidden, right? You might not even see them at first. They're hidden in the challenges themselves.
Right. You have to be open to seeing them and then brave enough to grab onto them.
So as you're going through your day, your week, your life, remember what we learned from Jacob. Embrace those tough times, look for those hidden blessings, and never stop trying to be the best, strongest, most resilient version of yourself.
I love that.
And you don't have to do it alone. We're all in this together. We want to hear from you. What stands out to you about Jacob? What are your wrestling matches and what blessings have come out of those struggles? Share your thoughts on social media with #DeepDiveJacob. And until next time, keep digging deeper, keep asking questions, and keep embracing those deep dives.